My name is Amos Tarfa, and I will be doing a series of videos as well as audio presentations about the tools for mastering mathematics. I made a post about this book earlier on. In 2012, I had the opportunity of teaching 3 different math classes: Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry. And I was teaching them over the summer, 3 months. I only had about 3 months. And I realized that there were a lot of similarities in the curriculum, which is fine. I was tutoring a few students who wanted to brush up on their skills. And that inspired me to start thinking about the curriculum of how we teach math in America. But this principle also carries over to other countries. So I want to briefly explain what this was about. In 2011, I was a full-time teacher teaching mathematics at a school locally. And then I started this summer, I started a project, the summer of 2012. And I was looking into every single concept we learn in a high school curriculum, and I realized that the duplication was high, but the mastery was low. There were a lot of students who were not understanding the concepts as much as they needed to understand them. And so I thought, what if we could help students by increasing mastery, reducing duplication, providing them a logical content flow of a narrative of mathematics, whereby we think of it as a story. If I want to tell you a story, and the story has a beginning. In the beginning, this happened. And then at the end of the story, you get a bigger picture. But you have to understand every single chapter of the book in order to get to the end of the story. So what if we taught math, not based on the labels of a class, but based on an understanding and of the mastery of each concept as it builds. So for example, somebody might learn about fractions, and then the next day they learn about decimals, and then they learn about polynomials, then they learn about rational expressions, and so on and so forth. My point is, what if we taught it with that? Just keep building, no limits. Just keep going as you master, and keep encouraging people to master. See, the big thing about mathematics and how it's taught in America is that a lot of people have a bad attitude about it. They don't care. When someone doesn't care, it doesn't help to tell the person to sit down and do 20 problems when they don't care. I'm not saying we shouldn't teach math to everybody. I'm saying let's find what the issues are, fix those issues, and then proceed. So this video is just briefly introducing the project, but I'll make a series of videos. So I want to say this. What I find interesting is this. I want to tell you something that you might find pretty fascinating. So the Tools for Mastering Mathematics is divided into 3 sections. The first section talks about what is mathematics. If you were to ask students, what is mathematics? People might throw things out about this, that, and the other. It's just a bunch of rules. But what if you explain to them that math is like riding a bicycle? Once you learn how to do it, 5 years from now, if you haven't ridden a bicycle and you try it, you can actually start doing it again. No problems. Math is like building a house. You need to have a strong foundation. If you have a strong foundation, you'll do well. See, a lot of students don't think of math in those terms. And one famous question people ask is, when am I ever going to use this? And what I found interesting as I was doing this project is that there are many things we do in life where we don't use them for anything outside of the thing itself. For example, when I play tennis, when am I ever going to use tennis? Well, when I play tennis, I'm playing tennis, but when am I ever going to actually use tennis in real life? When is it going to be important that I know how to swing a racket when I'm just walking down the street or whatever? There's no other time, essentially, that I do tennis other than when I do tennis. Therefore, I must play tennis for other reasons other than doing it itself. It helps me with discipline, of course, it's exercise, and so on and so forth. The same goes for math. When am I ever going to use it? Now, math has practical applications, but that's not even what I'm saying. Math in and of itself is worth doing just because it's math. The beauty in it. I mean, I don't know if you've ever solved a rational expression where the factors start canceling at the end. I just think it's a beautiful thing. And I think that students need to be given the opportunity to enjoy doing mathematics because math is beautiful. And so, I want to end with this. The first part, as I said, was what is mathematics and all of that. The second part has to do with what are the concepts every student should know any day, any time. And so Nathan Jerset and I came up with some topics that we wanted everyone to have. What are prime numbers? What are some examples? What is prime factorization? How do you work with fractions? Some of these are basic arithmetic concepts. However, the third part is where it gets interesting. What if we take all the concepts that people learn from arithmetic all the way to calculus? And what if we have it in one document, no repetition, and we give you that document, and you're driven to excellence in mathematics, and you want to take that and you want to just work through all those concepts. It might be over 1 summer, 2 summers, it doesn't matter. But then you can actually master all the concepts as you go. Now, I've already had people ask, how can I use this on a practical level? And I think the answer is, the book itself is just talking about the philosophies of mathematics. What we need to do then is we need to have a platform for teaching mathematics, right? We want to teach all the concepts. And here's what I did. I wrote an accelerated math program that uses a few tools. Here's what happened with this program that I wrote, which you can use and you can refer to. The program I wrote takes you from Algebra 1, day 1. So you could be an 8th grader, you could be a 7th grader, you could be a 9th grader. But in the beginning, you start in Algebra 1. You work with your equations, you work with your graphing, you work with your inequalities, your systems of equations, your polynomials, your factoring, your rational expressions, your radicals, your quadratics, your functions. So you go through Algebra 1 and flow into Algebra 2. But here's where it gets interesting. Algebra 1, Algebra 2, geometry, and pre-calculus in 260 days. So if you find a student who says, I don't want to take a break this year, I want to start from the beginning and I want to be ready for calculus at the end of your course, we can take them through 4 math courses in 1 year without actually being troubled. Because when you're learning graphing in Algebra 1, you learn graphing again in Algebra 2, sometimes with the same intensity. You repeat the same concepts, the slope-intercept form, the point-slope form, systems of equations, the same thing. And yet, many students don't like math. And yet, many students haven't mastered concepts in math. We really have to rethink how we're doing this because something somewhere is not working. And I think, number one, it's the attitude. If we change the attitude, the students will be more willing to dedicate time to work hard. If I care about something, I will put in time on the weekend to do better at it. If our students care about math, they will put in time to do better. So why don't we inspire them? Why don't we tell them stories of mathematicians and how these people became who they were? Why don't we tell them stories about the applications of mathematics? Why don't we spend a few minutes, other than just a little section in our books? What if we go a little further? You would be surprised what will happen, because that summer I was blessed with the opportunity of seeing some students that began to flourish, that began to excel, that wanted to do more math, and some of them completed the whole course in 3 months, and some people started doing some amazing things. Some of these students went on to study courses that required math in college. It all started with, and I'm not saying I have all the answers to all of it. What I'm saying is I've noticed that when the attitude changes, a lot happens. And someone might say, well, how do you change the attitude for 50 students? There's too many students. Well, the attitude is only one piece. How we teach math, how we arrange it, how we explain the fact that math is all building on itself. All these things are important. And we need to remind students of those things. That what you're learning in 6th grade is applicable to what you will learn in 9th grade in math. Now, I know I used the word 6th grade and 9th grade math, but you know what? If you look at math from the 1700s and so on, it wasn't really broken down by grade levels. That tells me that there's one narrative. There's a story. Why don't we teach it by the story? And why don't we give the students the chance to take ownership of learning their math principles? These are some things that I want us to think about, and I look forward to talking to you more. I'm excited to keep working on this project. As I said, we have the book that talks about how to do well in math and all those principles. But then we also have a separate curriculum that takes you through 4 math courses in 1 year. If you want to break it down to 2 years, that's fine. We don't need 4 years to do those 4 courses with students who are willing to learn. Let us teach and expect more of our students. And of course, it's a case-by-case basis. We need to show mercy. But let's not give them a low standard. Let's expect more and give them the tools. When I was in boarding school, I remember we would have afternoons, Saturday afternoons, where we sit down doing math problems. Today, I don't meet too many students who want to go to someone's house on a Friday and do math problems. That needs to change. Let's do more productive things with our time, young people. This is especially to the young people. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to making more videos in the series. Thanks to my wife and my kids as they watch me work through this process. And of course, they will be using a lot of these principles. We won't set low standards. We'll give them all that we have to help them flourish Why? So that they finish the math they need to finish and have more time to explore why they are on this earth. So they know what to do with their lives at a young age, rather than being consumed by busy work. Thank you for your time, and have a wonderful day as you seek out to help young people become all they can be. Thank you.